Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're heading to Thailand today.
Thailand.
Yeah, to explore how their universities adapted to online learning during the COVID-19 pandemic.
During the pandemic.
You might be thinking,
Yeah.
Thailand? What does that have to do with me?
Right.
But trust me,
Oh, yeah.
their experience gives us a glimpse
Mm-hmm.
into the future of higher education everywhere.
It really does. Yeah.
So what's really intriguing
Yeah.
is that Thailand's journey kind of mirrors
Yeah.
what happened globally,
It does.
but with its own unique twists and turns.
It really does, yeah.
We're diving deep
Okay.
into a brand new research article
Okay.
from the journal
Okay.
Education and Information Technologies,
Okay.
published just this month, December 2024.
Wow. Very recent.
Yeah, so consider this your express lane
Right.
to understanding the promise and the potential pitfalls
Oh, okay.
of online learning
Uh-huh.
as we move into this
Yes.
next normal world.
Yeah. Next normal.
And this study zeroes in
Yeah.
on Network University
Network University.
in northeastern Thailand,
Okay.
just like universities around the world.
Yeah.
They had to make a rapid switch to online learning when COVID hit.
They did. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was surprised to learn
Okay.
that these universities actually had a pretty strong ICT infrastructure already in place.
Really?
We're talking widespread wireless internet,
Oh.
high-speed connections, things you might not expect.
I wouldn't.
It's not just some classrooms with outdated computers.
Right?
We're talking fiber optic networks,
Wow.
government initiatives supporting e-learning platforms.
Uh-huh.
The real deal.
Interesting.
Why is that?
Well, you're right. That preconception of developing countries lagging behind in tech
Yeah.
doesn't hold up here.
Okay.
Thailand has been strategically investing in ICT infrastructure for years. Recognizing its importance for economic development,
Right.
many Thai universities also have partnerships
Oh,
with
cool.
international institutions,
Yeah.
which likely helped with tech adoption.
Interesting.
And don't underestimate the role of their private sector.
Okay.
Thailand has a booming tech industry, and those advancements influence other areas, including education.
So it's not just a case of
Yeah.
build it and they will come.
Right.
It's about creating this whole ecosystem
Yes.
that encourages tech to flourish.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the study emphasizes
Okay.
that these universities weren't just focused on hardware.
All right.
They had the software and the support systems
Okay.
to make it all work.
Interesting.
They were already using learning management systems like Moodle and Google Classroom,
Right.
had online libraries,
Okay.
and had faculty training programs in place
Wow.
before the pandemic.
So they were ahead of the game.
Yeah. This makes me think about how often we hear about
Yeah.
schools or companies
Okay.
spending a fortune on fancy new technology,
Right.
but then it ends up gathering dust because nobody knows how to use it,
Yeah.
or they haven't adapted their teaching methods to integrate it.
That happens a lot. Yeah.
It's like buying a top-of-the-line oven
Okay.
and then only using it to reheat leftovers.
That's a great analogy.
So this research highlights that
Yeah.
Thailand's universities were thinking about the whole package.
Okay.
Technology and the human element need
Yeah.
to make it work.
Right.
They weren't just throwing money at the problem.
Yeah.
They were investing in a sustainable approach.
That's great.
But of course,
Mm-hmm.
even with a strong foundation,
Yeah.
there were still bumps in the road.
Right.
The study found that even though internet access was widespread,
Okay.
the connections were often unstable. And some students just didn't have reliable internet at home.
Yeah. That's a problem.
Right. And this is where we see the digital divide playing out in real time.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a global issue that's often overlooked.
It is.
Even in a country with good overall infrastructure,
Hmm.
there are always going to be pockets where access is limited.
Right.
And this can further disadvantage students who are already facing other challenges.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The study also mentioned students struggling with digital literacy
Okay.
and staying motivated in a purely online environment.
Right.
Think back to those early days of the pandemic for you as a learner.
Yeah.
Can you relate to that sense of,
Yeah.
okay, we're all online now?
Well,
How exactly do we do this?
absolutely. Many of us,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of age or profession,
Right.
had to rapidly upskill our digital abilities.
Yes.
Suddenly, those soft skills,
Yeah.
time management, self-directed learning,
Mm-hmm.
even just knowing how to troubleshoot basic tech problems became even more crucial
bet.
for many.
Yeah.
It was a very steep learning curve.
I bet.
And let's not forget the social aspect.
Oh, right.
A lot of students missed that face-to-face interaction.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
It's that sense of community that can be so hard to replicate online.
It is.
And for instructors,
Yeah.
there were new challenges too.
Right.
The study mentions academic integrity,
Okay.
particularly cheating during online exams,
Right.
as a major concern.
Of course.
Did instructors have any effective strategies to combat this?
Of course.
Some instructors started experimenting with open book exams, shifting focus from rote memorization
Okay.
to application of knowledge.
Interesting.
Others explored project-based assessments or even oral exams via video conferencing. It forced a rethinking of traditional testing methods.
Sounds like a lot of making it up as we go along.
Yeah.
Which probably resonated with many educators around the world.
Oh, it did, yeah.
But what about the students themselves?
How did they feel about this sudden shift to online learning? Was it all doom and gloom?
Actually, that's where the research gets really interesting.
Oh.
The study found that despite all the challenges, Thai students had a generally positive view of online learning.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
So they were giving their instructors some credit for trying new things,
Right.
even if it wasn't always perfect.
Yeah.
But surely those internet issues and dips in motivation must have brought their overall enthusiasm down a bit, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
It wasn't all sunshine and roses.
Okay.
Those technical difficulties and the lack of social interaction were definite downsides.
Right.
But the overall positive attitude is striking.
Yeah.
It suggests that online learning, while not the perfect solution, has the potential to be a valuable part of the education landscape.
Which brings us to what I think is one of the most interesting takeaways from this study.
Yeah.
The idea of blended learning.
Blended learning.
A mix of online and in-person teaching as the way forward.
Interesting.
This is interesting because it suggests that the future of education might not be entirely online.
Right.
It's about finding the right balance.
That's a trend we're seeing gain traction globally. It's about recognizing the strengths of both approaches and finding that sweet spot, the right balance for each context and group of learners.
So it's not an either-or situation.
Yeah.
It's about leveraging the flexibility and accessibility of online learning while retaining the benefits of face-to-face interaction.
Exactly.
But before we dive further into that, let's take a moment to really unpack the implications of this study for our listeners.
Right.
No matter where they live or work, what are the key takeaways they can apply in their own lives?
Well, first and foremost, digital literacy is no longer optional.
Okay.
It's essential for navigating today's world, whether you're a student, an educator, or working in any field.
Yeah.
You need the skills to learn, work, and connect effectively online.
It's like learning a new language.
Yes.
But for the digital age.
Exactly.
And speaking of adapting, the second takeaway is the importance of flexibility.
Okay.
The pandemic threw everyone a curveball.
It did.
And it showed us that clinging to rigid models just doesn't cut it anymore.
Right.
We need to be open to new ways of learning, working, and connecting.
Exactly.
And that brings us to the third takeaway.
Okay.
The importance of strong institutional support.
Right.
Whether it's a university,
a
school, or a workplace.
Right.
Having the right infrastructure, resources, and training in place is crucial for success in a digital world.
It is.
It's about creating an environment that empowers people to embrace technology effectively.
Absolutely.
But let's flip the script for a moment. The study focuses on how these Thai universities adapted their teaching during COVID.
Right.
But what about the students themselves?
Yeah.
How did they adapt their learning styles to thrive in this new environment?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And one that the study doesn't directly address, but it brings up a crucial point.
Okay.
Students are not passive recipients of information. They had to adapt too.
Yeah.
They had to become more self-directed, more responsible for managing their time and staying on track with their studies.
Okay.
Think about all the new skills and strategies they had to develop.
Right.
Mastering different online platforms, troubleshooting tech issues,
Right.
finding ways to stay focused and motivated outside of a traditional classroom setting.
It's like they were suddenly thrown into the deep end of the digital pool.
Yeah.
And had to learn to swim fast.
Exactly.
And some probably took to it naturally, while others struggled to stay afloat.
Right. Some thrived in the online environment, while others found it challenging.
Right.
And this highlights the importance of individualized support, recognizing that different learners have different needs and preferences.
Absolutely.
Welcome back to our deep dive into online learning in Thailand.
Before the break, we were talking about how students had to adapt their learning styles to this new digital environment.
They did.
And it wasn't just about learning to use Zoom or figuring out how to submit assignments online.
Right.
We're talking about deeper shifts in how they approached learning itself.
Absolutely.
Think about it.
Okay.
In a traditional classroom, students are often in a more passive role.
Right.
The teacher delivers the information. They take notes, do their homework.
Yeah.
It's a structured, top-down approach.
Very much so.
But online learning flips that script, doesn't it? Suddenly, students have to be much more proactive.
Yes, much more so.
They have to take ownership of their learning.
Exactly.
That means seeking out information, asking questions, and engaging with the material in a more active way.
Right.
It's interesting to think about different strategies students might have used to adapt. Some might have created detailed study schedules or used time management apps to stay on track. Others might have joined online study groups to replace that sense of community they were missing.
Of course.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
And some may have struggled to adapt those in-person learning techniques to an online environment.
Exactly.
Imagine trying to recreate that late-night study session with friends over Zoom.
Oh, yeah.
It's not quite the same.
No, not quite.
Definitely not.
No. Yeah.
So while the study highlights the overall positive attitude of Thai students towards online learning, it's important to remember that this transition wasn't seamless for everyone.
Right. Absolutely.
Right.
And this is where understanding the nuances of the student experience becomes so important.
Right.
The study mentions that despite the overall positive view, students still experience challenges.
Right.
Technical issues were a big one, as we discussed earlier. Unstable internet connections, slow download speeds. These were common sources of frustration.
Oh, yeah. I can relate to that.
Okay.
I remember those days of trying to join a video call and the internet cutting out every 5 seconds.
Oh, I hate that.
It's enough to make anyone want to pull their hair out.
It is.
And it's important to remember that this study was done in Thailand.
Right.
A country with relatively good ICT infrastructure.
Okay.
Imagine the difficulties faced by students in regions with even more limited access to technology.
It really underscores the urgent need.
It does.
To address the digital divide.
Yes.
Not just within individual countries, but on a global scale.
Right, yeah.
We can't talk about the future of learning without ensuring that everyone has equitable access to the tools and resources they need to participate.
Absolutely.
Now, shifting gears a bit.
Okay.
Let's delve deeper into some of the specific things that stood out to students
about
their online learning experience. One interesting finding was the importance of clear communication and feedback from instructors. Students really appreciated when instructors were proactive in providing guidance, answering questions, and creating a sense of presence online.
So it's not just about uploading a bunch of lecture notes and disappearing. It's about being present and engaged.
Yes.
Even in a virtual space.
Exactly.
And that requires a different skill set than traditional face-to-face teaching.
It does.
It's about mastering those digital communication tools, responding promptly to student queries, and fostering a sense of connection and community.
That's a great way to put it.
It's almost like instructors had to become online community managers in a way.
Yeah, in a way.
Creating spaces where students felt comfortable asking questions, sharing their thoughts, and supporting each other.
Exactly.
Now, on the flip side, one of the things students missed most was that social aspect of learning. They felt isolated and disconnected from their peers and instructors.
Understandably so.
That makes sense. As much as technology can connect us, there's still something special about that in-person interaction.
Yeah.
That spontaneous conversation that happens after class.
Right.
Or the chance to bounce ideas off each other.
Yeah.
In a study group.
Exactly. And that's why this blended learning model is so intriguing.
Yeah.
It's about finding ways to combine the flexibility and convenience of online learning with those essential face-to-face interactions that foster a sense of belonging and community.
So we're not talking about simply replacing the classroom with a computer screen.
Yeah.
It's about creating a richer, more dynamic learning experience that draws on the best of both worlds.
Precisely.
And this study, by highlighting both the successes and the challenges of online learning in Thailand, offers valuable insights for educators.
It does.
And institutions worldwide as they navigate this evolving landscape.
Of course.
Speaking of challenges, we touched on the issue of cheating during online exams earlier.
Yeah.
It's a tricky one, isn't it?
It is.
How do you ensure academic integrity
in
a world where traditional methods of proctoring exams no longer apply?
That's the million-dollar question.
A study found that academic integrity was a major concern for instructors in Thailand. Just as it has been for educators around the world.
Absolutely.
They worried about students using unauthorized resources, collaborating with others, or even having someone else take the exam for them.
Of course.
It's like the Wild West of assessment.
Yeah.
Suddenly, all those traditional safeguards are gone, and instructors are left scrambling to find new ways to maintain fairness and rigor.
Exactly.
And this led to a lot of experimentation.
It did.
With alternative assessment methods, as we discussed earlier.
Yeah.
Some instructors moved towards open book exams.
Project-based assessments, or even oral exams conducted via video conferencing. It forced them to think outside the box and come up with solutions that were better suited to the online learning environment. But it also raises some interesting questions.
Yeah, it does.
If open book exams become more common, how do we redefine what it means to know something? Is it less about memorizing facts and figures and more about being able to apply knowledge in a real-world context?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
And it gets at the heart of what we value in education. Are we assessing for memorization? Or are we assessing for critical thinking, problem solving, and the ability to synthesize information? These are questions educators have been grappling with for a long time. But the shift to online learning
has brought them into even sharper focus.
Yeah, it's almost like online learning has forced us to confront some fundamental assumptions about how we teach and learn.
I think that's a great way to put it. It's not just about adapting to new technologies. It's about rethinking the very foundations of education itself.
And that's a conversation that needs to involve everyone, students, educators, policymakers, and even parents. We're all stakeholders in the future of learning.
They are.
So what does all this mean for the future of education? Not just in Thailand, but globally. What are the big takeaways that we can apply as we move into this next normal world?
Well, one key takeaway is that online learning, while not a replacement for traditional education, is here to stay. It's not a fad or a temporary fix. It's a powerful tool that has the potential to transform how we learn and teach.
But it's not about simply replicating the classroom experience online.
No.
It's about embracing the unique opportunities that online learning offers. Flexibility, accessibility, personalized learning pathways, and using them to create truly engaging and effective learning experiences.
Exactly.
The future of education is likely to be a hybrid one.
It is.
Blending the best of both worlds.
Absolutely.
And this requires a shift in mindset. Both for educators and learners. We need to be adaptable, open to new technologies, and pedagogical approaches, and prioritize those human connections that make learning truly meaningful.
Absolutely.
Speaking of human connections, I'm curious to know more about how the social dynamics of learning shifted in this online environment. Did students find new ways to connect with each other and build relationships?
That's a fantastic question.
Yeah.
And one that deserves further exploration.
Okay.
While the study doesn't delve deeply into that aspect, it's certainly an area where further research would be valuable.
I agree.
How did students create those informal learning networks online?
Right.
Did they leverage social media platforms, online forums, or other digital tools to connect with their peers?
Yeah.
These are all fascinating areas to consider.
And it also raises questions about the role of educators in fostering those connections. How can instructors create online spaces that encourage collaboration, communication, and a sense of community?
Right.
It's not enough to just provide the technology.
Well,
we need to think about how we design online learning environments that support social interaction and relationship building.
I love that analogy.
It's like we need to become
digital
architects, designing spaces that are both functional and inviting, where students feel comfortable connecting with each other and with the material.
Exactly.
And it highlights the importance of creativity and innovation in this new landscape. We need to experiment to try new things and to learn from our mistakes as we figure out how to create truly effective and engaging online learning experiences.
Absolutely.
And this experimentation shouldn't be limited to universities.
No.
The insights from this study, though focused on higher education, has implications for all levels of learning.
Of course.
From primary school to workplace training.
Absolutely.
The principles are the same. Embrace technology thoughtfully. Prioritize human connection and be adaptable and open to change.
And let's not forget the importance of lifelong learning.
Absolutely.
Not just for students, but for educators as well.
Yes.
We need to be continuous learners.
Right.
Constantly seeking out new knowledge and skills to keep pace with this rapidly evolving world.
Couldn't agree more.
And that's perhaps the most valuable lesson we can take away from this deep dive into online learning in Thailand.
It is.
It's a reminder that learning is a journey, not a destination.
Yeah.
And it's a journey. We're all on together.
Well said.
But before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to circle back to something we touched on earlier. The idea of blended learning.
Blended learning.
As the potential future of education. It's a concept that's gaining a lot of traction.
It is.
But it's also one that raises a lot of questions.
Absolutely.
What exactly does blended learning look like in practice?
Right.
How do we strike the right balance between online and in-person learning?
Right.
And how do we ensure that blended learning is equitable and accessible to all?
Right.
These are all crucial questions to consider as we move forward.
And those are questions we'll continue to explore in the final part of our deep dive.
All right.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We've been exploring how universities in Thailand handle online learning. And now we're going to zoom in on that idea of blended learning.
Blended learning.
As we've been talking about. It's not just slapping together some online lectures with a few in-person meet and greets.
No.
There's a real art to blending the two.
There is. It really requires us to reimagine the boundaries of education. To think beyond the physical classroom and embrace the possibilities of a more fluid, interconnected learning environment.
This makes me think of those choose your own adventure books I loved as a kid, where you could make decisions that would lead you down different paths in the story. Is blended learning, kind of like that.
That's a great analogy.
Creating multiple pathways for students to explore based on their individual learning styles and preferences.
It really gets at what blended learning can offer. It's about providing that personalized, flexible learning experience that caters to the needs of each student.
So instead of a one-size-fits-all approach, it's more like a tailor-made suit.
Exactly.
Perfectly fitted to each individual learner. But how do we actually achieve that in practice? What might a blended learning model look like in a real-world setting?
Imagine a course where the foundational concepts are introduced Through engaging online modules, videos, and interactive exercises, students can work through these materials at their own pace, revisiting them as needed. Then those online modules are paired with in-person sessions, where students can delve deeper into the material, engage in discussions, collaborate on projects, and receive personalized feedback from their instructors.
So it's almost like flipping the traditional model, right? The online component becomes the foundation, and the in-person sessions become more focused on application, interaction, and deeper understanding.
The flipped classroom approach is just one example of how blended learning can be implemented. The beauty of it is that it's so versatile. You can blend in so many different ways, depending on the subject matter, the learning objectives, and the needs of the students.
It seems like this blended approach would be particularly effective for subjects that require both theoretical knowledge and practical application.
Absolutely.
Subjects like engineering, medicine, or education, where students need to master both the concepts and the skills, could really benefit from a blended approach.
Of course.
I'm also thinking about how blended learning could address some of those social isolation issues we talked about earlier. By incorporating those in-person sessions, you're creating opportunities for students to connect, build relationships, and develop those essential social skills.
It's about striking that balance.
It is.
Between independent, self-paced learning and collaborative, interactive learning.
And this is where the role of the instructor becomes even more crucial.
Absolutely.
So it's not just about being a subject matter expert.
No.
It's about being a facilitator, a mentor, a guide on the side, helping students navigate this blended learning landscape.
Exactly.
Instructors need to be skilled at designing engaging online learning experiences, facilitating meaningful discussions, and providing personalized support, both online and offline.
It requires a new set of skills.
It does.
And a willingness to embrace new ways of teaching.
And this brings us to a crucial question. How do we prepare educators for this blended learning future? It sounds like we need to rethink teacher training programs and professional development opportunities.
Absolutely right.
We need to equip educators with the tools and training they need to thrive in this new environment.
We do.
They need to be comfortable with technology, adept at online pedagogy, and skilled at fostering those human connections, virtually and in person.
It sounds like a tall order.
It does.
But it's an incredibly exciting time.
It is.
To be involved in education.
We're on the cusp of a major transformation.
We are.
And the possibilities are endless.
The possibilities are endless.
And as we've seen from those Thai universities, blended learning has the potential to create a more engaging, effective, and equitable learning experience for all students.
It's about embracing innovation.
It is.
Being adaptable and always putting the learner at the center.
At the center.
Well said. As we wrap up this deep dive, I hope our listeners feel inspired to explore the possibilities of blended learning. Whether they're students, educators, or just lifelong learners.
It's about finding that sweet spot, that perfect blend of online and in-person learning that unlocks each student's full potential.
Exactly. It's a journey of discovery. And we're all in this together.
We'd love to hear from you. What are your thoughts on blended learning? Have you experienced it firsthand? Share your stories and insights on our website or social media channels. And join us next time for another deep dive.
All right.
Until then, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.